Hello there, you're looking at a Tapworks water softener that has recently been taken out onto some form of fault, and we've replaced it with a new one, so there's no issues there, but I brought it back. There's the hoses laid on the floor with the 12 volt adapter not connected, no electrics connected, so I'm actually going to strip it right down and literally we can all see what goes on inside a water softener. As you can see, this particular one, the lid had tape across it because it had broken in two. Right at the back you can see there's two flexible hoses. They class these as high flow hoses. On them particular elbows you will find one says in, one says out. Just doing it finger tight and with just a little bit of ply with a spanner or anything, you don't need to go mad. You'll strip the plastic threads, so I've took them off. Makes it a bit easier access for me to show or strip down. On this particular model, which is similar to most models, not all but similar to most, you've got a cabin that you fill with salt. Lid comes off similar to most, and the actual top section with its LED display, I think they pronounce it. Probably, maybe not. But the cover just literally, there's two clips at the back, and you're literally under the two clips, and it pulls apart. Fairly straightforward. And you'll see in a second when we do lift it above that there is two red connectors. Them two red connectors are connected to the 12 volt plug, and all you do, they're literally just little pins, pull them apart and away you go, and you can't get it wrong because there's not a right way and a wrong way to get them mixed up, so just pull them apart. Obviously you can see it's all unplugged, so there's no shocks and no water in supply whatsoever. You can also see just that the PCB board to the right there is just connected in with four little lugs, but I'm going to leave that in because that seems to be okay. I'm just going to unplug the electrics. That's one unplugged from there, and the other one, as you can see, that particular plug goes to the motor, and it looks like it was arcing, but it wasn't. All it was that the customer had spilt some form of liquid and it had just gone mouldy or whatever, so there was no issues there. And as you can see now, the lid is completely apart from the cabinet, and again it's very similar to them all. They're all very similar, and as you can see there's a black thing there which houses the motor. Underneath there's a lot of cams that when that motor spins they go to different openings. Also, the black hose from there coming down would go into a waste pipe. This is to where, when recharging, it flushes through the actual resin. The other particular one is the overflow, which there's a ball valve in there which gives a bit of water in the bottom of the cabin to give us a salt solution. So obviously this salt solution can clear out the resin when it gets full of hardness, if you like. Just undoing, that's the particular connection to the ball valve down in the cabinet, which I do take out a little bit later and you'll see it. Excuse me. Now there's a big circle plastic ring and it's just clamped there, and there's just there's two little clips. I've just undone one, no need to undo them both, and literally as you pull up it just literally pulls the whole mechanism out. There's a dip tube there, if you want to call it a dip tube. Obviously there's a filter at the top, a filter at the bottom, and this is where it obviously flows in and out. Just lifting it out there, there's a bit of resin on the bottom there, and just putting it to one side. Trying to be careful, but with one hand it's always very difficult. There's the clip lock. It's just the plastic O-ring with the two clips there. inside there the resin, which has got obviously water in because it's a used model at the moment. And there's the salt tablets. You can just see them at the bottom of the cabinet. And the circle disc in there is where the ball valve is housed, and I'll show you that a bit later on. Right, so back to the actual cabin. There's the salt tablets, and there's the resin holder, if you like, the yellow thing there. Just taking away the clip and just making access to the resin holder. And again, there's the clip. There's the clamp with the clip. There we go, clamp, that's the word I was looking for earlier. Right. Taking all the dressing off, if you like. So that's the resin holder, right? That's the all the motor and the gubbins, if you like. So there's 2 screws on the top of there. Undo the 2 screws, and when you lift it off, it is difficult to see, but all that plastic housing is broken, so all the cogs and everything inside are jumping and whatever. Alright, so as I lift it, you can see it just comes away, and there she is, the housing of all the cogs, and there's the electric motor with the cogs all in there. But not a very good picture, but I hope you can see there's a split on the top there. It's all split, so the plastic cogs inside are all moving about. Then there's a metal plate below that, a big metal plate. It's got, I think that's 3, I'm sure it's 3 screws, just 3, holding it down. And underneath that there is a big metal, I'll call it a cog, if you like. That does just lift off. I didn't show it there very well, so now just to that there's that marker switch there, which as the cog goes round it flicks a little lever which turns on and off the marker switch, which is obviously connected to the PCB board, but also connected to what I believe is a flow switch, but you will tell me better. But that comes apart a little later. The part I'm now there's a little plastic clip there. I'm lifting that out of the way. Again, it's always awkward when you're doing it one-handed. So once I get the plastic clip free, you'll see me just lift it out. Yes, it was fiddly, but hey ho. And there we go, there's the plastic clip literally coming out now. But as we pull away, this is the particular valve, or I'm not sure what that is, but apparently that lets water to the ball valve, but also creates some kind of, I'm not sure, they say Ventura, I believe the word is, where it actually sucks the salt solution from the bottom of the tank and literally puts it through the resin. So, but it's good to see what all is inside. And again, there's this flow switch now. It's just 2 little clips. Again, it's always difficult with one hand. There we go. So when you start breaking it down, alright, there's bits to it, but we shouldn't get ourselves over concerned that, oh, we could hurt something or whatever. Here it is laid on the floor. Now, obviously there's the big casing with the big metal cog on top. Sorry, yeah, the plastic casing with the big metal cog on top. Taking out the screws, lifting that off. Again, it's just O-rings that are keeping it all sealed and everything, so nice, just a gentle tug, it all comes up. And as you can see, there's all the discs there with the different openings, so as it turns it must obviously line up to different openings to flush through, or just to be standard to let the water flow through the resin to give us soft water. Sorry about the skinny leg there, not a pretty sight. And there's that metal cog, and again I'll just show you with my thumb how easy that that literally just rests on there. So that's what obviously turns all that disc to put all the different openings to, and then we go inside. Obviously O-rings and little rubbers. The one thing I did notice is the O-ring there in what I call one of the quadrants was on a spring, and you do see me later on holding it with my finger as I do take stuff apart. So there's some of the gubbins laid on the floor, so you know we shouldn't get too worried about taking it apart. If we've got to repair it, that is. And there's the bottom filter, if you like, got a bit of resin on it. And now we're at the top. Again, we can see the PCB board just clamped in there, which is giving the LED display on the front. So again, that's easy enough to replace. That's the tube down to the ball valve, which is in that particular tube there. We take the lid off, you can see the mechanism inside, and there's a little wing nut just in front of us there. Took the wing nut off, give it a waggle, and away she just clips in at the bottom. Always difficult with one hand. So took the nut off, pulled the nut off with a little bit of force. Obviously pulled the hose through, and once the hose comes through, you'll see in a second that the tube has got a little cut out, or little slits in the side, obviously so that the water can get into the cabin, and also that the solution becomes sucked up by that particular mechanism to go through the resin. Pulling the ball valve mechanism out. There we go. Just some kind of ball valve, polystyrene float. Polystyrene float's got that salt residue ring, that black salt. I'll clean all that off later on. And there's the tube, just an empty bit of tube now. Sorry about the shakiness, but I'm trying to do things, and it is on my phone unfortunately. But there we go. It gives you an insight. So there's all the salt tablets, there's a lot of salt in the bottom, and there's the resin just covered in a bit of water there. But in a second or two I take the rim off the top, which does unclip. So now we can see the resin cylinder. I wouldn't know what they call it. There will be a name, and obviously I'll be wrong in saying whatever it is, but that contains the resin, so I'll call it resin holder at the moment. And it just sits in the bottom. Give it a kind of twist and a turn and a lift, and oop, she comes. There we go. So now we're down to a few basic parts. The cabin there, which is, it's got that salt residue, and you can't see it on the camera, but it is at least 4 inches deep. So now I've actually put some resin into a black tub at the side. There's some resin left in there. There's the resin in the black tub. It looks like wet sand, if you like. And there's the cabin with the salt. Sorry about the heavy breathing when I was doing it. It's a very hot day. Very hot day. Here we are, I've got a pointing trail there, an old pointing trail, digging into that to try and get rid of all the salt out the bottom to give it a clean out. And again, I only show a couple of 2 or 3 pointing trails worth because you lads, or you people, sorry, you people don't necessarily want to sit with me watching me empty that. So there we go, it's all cleaned out. And again, trowel, a few Wonder Wipes, not been sponsored by Wonder Wipes, but Wonder Wipes are wonderful. They are good. Cleaned it all out there, makes it look different again. I've cleaned the ball valve tube, or whatever the tube that is. Cleaned it all thoroughly through. And again, you'll see me line up to the hole there, so I can put my plastic nut and wing washer on there to hold it in. Clean the ball valve off. That is the ball valve mechanism, plus the way that must obviously ventura or suck up and give the salt solution into the resin once the resin's overwhelmed with the hardness. And that just literally drops in. Amazingly, it just literally drops in. There we go, all clipped up. The hose is clipped into the side of that tube. There's the resin holder. I've given that a clean off. I've also just videoed this particular notes for numbers or anything like that. Not that it means a lot. There's the resin in the tub. A light wet sand, or obviously orangey coloured. There we go. I do try and get rid of a bit of the water so you can see in a drier state, but it didn't work as well as I wanted to. But you'll see, there we go. You can see that it looks a bit drier. Again, it looks a bit like sand. I know it's not, so I don't want manufacturers saying, "Oh, you tell them they've got sand in," when they haven't. It's some form of resin. I'll put the resin back into the resin holder and then stand it in there, ready for basically reconnection. Cleaned all the top, as you can see. Again, wonderful Wonder Wipes. You've not seen, but in a second I put it all back together, and I've took all the O-rings off, cleaned them, greased them and whatever. I did just pull the bottom section out of that, and that's where my thumb is over that particular spring thing. I don't know what that does, but underneath it's just, again, orifices underneath. So again, it's just a bit of tube, like a dip tube with, again, O-rings. Take the O-rings off, clean them, give it all a clean, and literally grease the O-rings and literally start putting it back together. And basically it's just about back together. It's just the ball valve filler, as I'll call it, to be put back on, but I thought I'd let you see it, and there it is, all connected. Now you can see that on the motor side I've just put some tape round it to see if it would work or do anything, and bless it, it did particularly work. And I've actually fired it up and got it onto recharge, and recharged. The hose was dispersing out the bottom there, just not pouring, just trickling through. So obviously trickles through the resin with the salt solution to obviously clean the resin through from too much hardness. I left the salt out. I can see on the display there it says recharging now, just to see how much water came in the bottom. And there isn't gallons of water that comes in the bottom, but there is some, obviously, to create that salt solution. Again, the video wasn't very clear, but it's just trickling out that hose. Hopefully you will see it a little bit later, in a second or two, literally, because we're probably all getting bored now and whatever, but you can see it just trickling. I've got it all reconnected. I did it, obviously, what I call a quick temporary fix to an outside tap, a bit of hose pipe, a bit of speed fit, blah 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 blah, and away she worked. And to be fair, she stopped a cycle, recharge cycle, and sat there waiting for commands. Now, whether it'll work or not, I honestly don't know. it may be more to it than meets the eye. And there's the particular model it is, and it is approximately 10 years old, and one of two stills. Again, I hope this helps. If there's any questions, please just put them in the comments below, and thank you for looking at the video. Appreciate it. Anyway, bye for now.